Welcome to the Bywords Show. I'm your host, Hannah Hughes. Bywords is all about equipping women for purposeful living by starting conversations, celebrating stories, and inspiring faith. In a world that applauds the hustle, I'm here to help you break free from the lies and come back to what really matters. It's time to get real, get rooted in truth, and come alive in relationship with Jesus so you can show up to each day with intention and confidence no matter where you're at in your story. Here we believe that embracing our stories brings hope, healing, and purpose to the process, and sharing our stories helps others do the same. Whether you're looking for a midweek faith refresh, practical tools for pursuing your dreams, or just need some good old-fashioned girl talk, you're in the right place. Grab your latte and let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Byword Show. So glad you're here. Today is the day. Happy New Year. I cannot believe it's 2025. I feel like that went by so fast, but I'm excited. So today, I thought it'd be fun to talk about how we can partner with God for our vision and our goals for 2025. You guys know, if you've been here for a while, I always ask my guests what has been filling their cup lately, both literally and figuratively. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I just start by giving you a little update and catching you up on what's been going on in my life real quick before we dive in? Well, first of all, what's in my actual cup is a chai in my summer moon mug, missing Texas, well, I wouldn't say missing Texas. I would say missing summer moon. And so I'm having a chai, so delicious. I also have my Bywords candle lit over here, my June and Bloom collab candle. It was just so delicious and cozy. And then figuratively, what's been filling my cup lately is, I don't know, I think like journaling, taking some time to myself. I mean, reading is always filling my cup. I've been really into audiobooks lately, like on my drives, or even sometimes at work. If I'm doing something in the back, I'll just put in my headphones and listen to an audiobook. And I love that. I just think it's so fun. So I would say that's what's been filling my cup lately. And I have some fun news. So I have decided to start a Buy Me a Coffee page, which is basically a way that you can support Bywords if you feel led to. Just because this content is free. You know, I love being able to provide this content, provide my time and my energy to you guys for free. And so if you feel led to, if you want to show your support in that way, I will put the link in my bio so that you can contribute to filling my cup if you choose to. All of that to say, welcome. Here we go, kicking off 2025 strong. I'm so excited. One more favor to ask really quickly. If you love the Byword Show, if you're glad to be here with me hanging out and chatting every Thursday, would you just hit pause really quick and leave a rating and review? It's the best way that you can show your support and help the show grow. And it just means the world to me. So, okay, all the housekeeping is done. Let's get into it. I'm so excited to talk about how we can set ourselves up for a really, really purposeful, intentional year that is moving us closer to who we want to be, the lives we want to create, and all that we feel God has designed us to be. If you've been around for a while, or if you know me, you probably have heard me talk about goal setting, mindset, things like my New Year's Eve letter, which I believe is episode 60 when I break that down. If you want to go back and like listen to some of those older episodes of me breaking down my mindset talk and things that I love to incorporate when it comes to goal setting and setting intentions and things like that. I really love that kind of stuff. And honestly, I think 2024 was it was just such an interesting year and such a different year. I feel like I really didn't get into a routine or any kind of rhythm really until recently. It's been challenging for me to kind of like get back to this place of really setting intentions, but it was really, really good to come to the end of the year. You know, we had been through so many transitions with moving to Colorado, and I got a new job. I also got a promotion at that job, which was really cool. And so things have just been happening, lots of transitions, lots of changes in the past year for us, which have been hard and great. And so I feel like now, especially Della is now a year old, our daughter. Well, actually, she's about to be 18 months in February, which is crazy. But I feel like I'm finding myself again. Like if you're a mom, maybe you can relate to that feeling of like, okay, I'm finally coming back to myself and my body and figuring out like what it looks like to be a little bit more independent and to have a child that's at a more independent age. And so I don't know, I'm just starting to think more in that way and getting excited again and a little bit more motivated because I'll be honest, I haven't been for a while. I've just been really tired, kind of disappointed, discouraged, burnt out in the past year. And so it felt really good to take the time and sit down and reflect on the year, and then also start dreaming and praying about what's coming. So, in this episode, I just want to share a couple of things that I do that maybe if it sounds good to you, you could try for the new year as well. And I just have to say right off the bat, I used to be a very, very like rigid, disciplined, like has to be one way, black and white, very extreme kind of person when it comes to goal setting and trying to make changes and create new habits in my life. It's so funny, y'all. I feel like it must have been in the first or second year of the show. I did an episode about my morning routine, and I think about it sometimes because I'm like, man, that was one of the most productive times of my life. And I can't relate to that a lot now. I love that for me, but I'm not doing a lot of those same things. Like I was waking up every day at 5:30, exercising, doing affirmations, doing all of these things in my morning routine. These days, I'm just trying to wake up at least 10 minutes before the kids. So that's kind of where I'm at now. But all of that to say, I feel like I've come to this place of freedom when it comes to setting goals and intention and finding vision. And it's just been really sweet because I used to feel like I had to change my life in 30 days, and set all of these crazy New Year resolutions and just dive in head first to all these extreme goals, and then I would end up so disappointed when I failed or when I couldn't keep up with it or when it wasn't realistic. And now I just take a more realistic approach to it. I want it to be sustainable. And that's something I want to say first. Like before we get into this talk about goals and vision, I just want to take the pressure off of you to have a really extreme and rigid routine for your life. I think it's in the book To Hell with the Hustle by Jefferson Bethke. It's such a good book. But in there, he talks about the difference between a goal and something that's actually a formation. And I love this language because he talks about how it's so much more impactful to set an intention that's something you actually want to see in your life long term. Like, yeah, it's one thing to like set a goal and cross it off your list, like, running a marathon or visiting a certain country. Like those are things that you check the box and then you can kind of move on. But a lot of people this time of year want to set an intention of like, okay, well, I want to get healthy or I want to save money. And it's kind of like, well, what is your goal with that really long term? Like, you got to get honest about that because are you just going to eat healthy for this year and then check it off a box and then be done next year? No, that's not what we want, right? So it's more than just checking a box. It's about who we are becoming, habits we're creating to bring with us for the rest of our lives. And so when I talk about goals and vision setting and all of this, I really think like the biggest thing you can do to help yourself is just to get really, really honest about where you're at and also what you want for your life. Because if you set a goal because it sounds good or because you see some other girl setting a goal of like waking up at 5:30 a.m. every day, like is that really what you want for your life? Because if it's not, what's the point? It's so much better to find things that are aligned with your vision for your life. And that's where this piece of partnering with God for our vision and goals comes into play. So that's what I want to break down today. And there are so many ways that you can do this. One thing that I shared a lot about is the New Year's Eve letter. I do this every year. I started this in 2013 and I shared about it on social media. And so many of you guys started chatting with me about it and saying that you were going to try it or that you did try it last year. And it's just a really fun way to kind of reflect on the past year and then also start that vision casting and dreaming for the next year. So basically, at the end of 2024, I sat down, I opened my letter from the previous New Year's Eve, and I read that. And then I got to reflect on this year and see, like, oh, this actually did happen, or this isn't what I expected, and kind of sort through all those things and process. And then I write in the letter for this coming year, the highlights from this year. We moved to Colorado. It was so funny. In the letter, it's just really cool. In the letter I wrote to myself that I opened, how do I explain this? On New Year's Eve 2023, in that letter that I wrote for myself to open this past New Year's Eve 2024, I wrote in there, we're thinking about moving to Colorado. That'd be really cool. And so it was really fun this year writing my letter that I will open next year saying, we actually did it. We moved to Colorado and, I got a job and the podcast is growing and these goals that are just really fun to look back on and see how far you've come. You can kind of forget that or like easily miss your progress because sometimes we get so caught up on like one specific thing that we miss all the little wins along the way. And so I love how writing yourself a letter, like a letter to your future self, it just helps you kind of count your blessings and just be grateful for all you have in your life and how far you've come and the growth you've experienced in the past year. And then also you can start thinking about like, what do I want my life to look like a year from now? And so that's where the vision piece comes into play. And there's so many ways that you can do this. I'll share a few examples. One is, some people will pick a theme or a word for the year, or maybe a verse for the year, just something to focus on for the year. And under that kind of umbrella, what do you want your goals to be that'll help support you getting there? So, for example, this year, my word, I don't know if it's my word for the year. I feel like it's a big focus though, is discipline. I just really want to come back to a place of discipline, spirit, soul, and body, taking better care of my body, taking better care of my mind and my spirit, my spiritual health, my relationship with Jesus, my faith journey, just being really intentional and disciplined in a way that I kind of let myself go in, which also I'm having grace, but like the past year was a lot of the postpartum stage. And like I said, a lot of changes and transitions. So I feel ready in this season to come back with more intention and more discipline and start challenging myself a little bit more to see growth in some areas that I wasn't focusing on before, but now I have the capacity to. So this year, I'm focusing on discipline, and some goals that I wrote to kind of support that are drinking more water, exercising more frequently, aiming to get at least 10,000 steps a day. Y'all know I got my little pedometer that I wear every day now to work, and it's so fun to just see my progress and like see how active I actually am to help me better set goals to support that overall discipline in the sphere of health for my spirit, soul, and body. Another goal that I want to do to be disciplined is to read through my Bible in a year. I have a Bible reading plan that I'm going through and some devotional studies and things like that. And I am going to sacrifice some of my time to be disciplined in doing that because I'll be honest, it got to a point at the end of 2024 where I was wasting a lot of my time scrolling on my phone. And I don't like that. I just have seen how when I've been so tired, like I just kind of want to rot, like they say. And I don't want to do that this year. I just want to be more intentional. Like I've seen the effects that's had on my mental health and comparing myself to other people and starting to feel nasty in my headspace, like negative thought spirals and all that. So, anyway, to safeguard myself from that and to be more intentional, I'm going to replace that scrolling time with some time reading, some time in the Word, some Bible study, and being disciplined in those areas. So that's what that could look like for you. Think about what's important to you this year. What areas do you want to grow in? And start thinking of some ways that you can support that. There's actually this really fun thing that I saw on TikTok. I wish I remembered the name of the girl who posted it, but she actually shared these chat GPT prompts that you can do to create a vision and goal setting for the new year. And I did that. And it was so fun. I know that people have mixed reviews about chat GPT and AI stuff, but honestly, I think it can be kind of helpful and fun. So if that's your cup of tea, that's something you could try. So if you're interested in that, basically, she says to go to ChatGPT and say, I want to create my goals and vision for 2025. Please guide me through this process by asking me 10 questions one by one. And when I'm done answering the 10th question, please write my dream life story for 2025 and what my affirmation will be. And then my top 5 goals broken down by whatever categories. So I did this and I did my top 5 categories: health, faith, money, work, and relationships. So I went through that process of answering those questions. And again, you don't have to use Chat GPT to do that. There are so many like Pinterest little prompts that you can do to like just ask yourself questions, like to figure out what's really important to you. When I host my vision workshops and I lead people through this process, a lot of questions I ask are, what's working for you? What is not working for you? What are you spending your time on that really isn't helping you get to where you want to be or who you want to become? And what do you want more of in your life? What do you want less of in your life? How do you want to feel? Who do you want to be at the end of this year? Those kinds of questions can really get the ball rolling for you to start brainstorming and think about like, okay, in my ideal world, what would my life look like? What kind of woman do I want to be? And once you have that, like a big broad overview, big picture vision, the next prompt for the chat GPT is, how do I get there? Can you break it down into milestones throughout the year and things I need to do each day to reach those goals? And then if you want to, you can even ask, can you tell me what my daily routine should look like? And can you include a goal tracker? So like I said, I did this and it was wild. It was like, you should wake up at this time, start by drinking water, then have your quiet time, and then you can do da 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 da, and it was really good. Obviously, you can modify it and go through and make sure that it sounds really aligned with what you feel is best for you and your lifestyle and your family and your schedule. All of that has to work for you. Otherwise, it won't work at all. But that is just one way that you can start thinking about this process. And then, of course, the piece about inviting God into this process, which I should have said at the beginning, but I feel like kind of we're probably on the same page here. Just asking the Holy Spirit into this process, inviting God to guide your process. My friend Michelle Castro, that I've had on the podcast recently, I just love her. And I've been chatting with her a lot about like dreaming and vision and stuff like that. And she shared how in a book she read by Jen Wilkin, I believe, she said the two things that you should pray for more than anything are wisdom and discernment. And pretty much like if you have wisdom and discernment, like you're on the right track. And so that's something I've kind of taken to heart in this process. And I've just said, Lord, give me wisdom and give me discernment as I process these things, as I create my schedules, as I choose the things that I want to commit to this year, and as I choose the things I want to let go or surrender or sacrifice this year. God, you lead the way. Holy Spirit, you guide me, show me what your will is in this season of my life, for this year in my life, and just allow him to guide the whole process. And he absolutely will. It's so cool. A prime example of this is I shared a post on social media about, I did it in like kind of a silly way, but I said, I lost a ton of weight this year. Here's how. And I wasn't talking about like physical weight. I was talking about like I took a load off myself by giving myself some grace and being kind to myself and loving my body more and not stressing over the little things or striving for perfection. And so in that caption, I just wrote like, I am praying that 2025 is a year of burdens lifted. And the verse that came to mind for me was Hebrews 12, 1 and 2, where it talks, actually, I wrote it down. Let's see. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up. And let us run with endurance the race that God has set before us. We do this by keeping our eyes on Jesus, the champion who initiates and perfects our faith. That just came to mind like when I was writing that caption. But when I sat down to write my New Year's Eve letter and start like really praying and setting goals for the new year, that verse just kept coming to mind. And so I think for me, that's going to be my verse for the year that I just cling to of like, let's let go of everything that's slowing us down, that's distracting us, that's holding me back, sin that is keeping me trapped in this season, like things that are keeping me from being fully in the freedom, in the joy, in the purpose that God has created me to live in. And so that for me is my verse for the year. A lot of what I'm going to pray into, a lot of what I'm going to hopefully continue in discipline, to like surrender those things that really are not worth my time. And they're not helping me become who I want to be. So that's my verse for the year. You could do a similar thing and just like ask the Lord to show you, like, God, what's on your heart for me this year? What do you want me to focus on? Bring a verse to mind or bring a word to mind and write an affirmation or write out that verse and just meditate on it daily or weekly, whatever it looks like. And as you continue to focus on those things, you will grow in that direction. That's the cool thing about this and why it's so important to have a vision. I think it's in Habakkuk where it says, where there's no vision, the people perish. And it just makes sense, right? Like if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to go anywhere. So you will move towards whatever you're focusing on. So if you are intentional about inviting God in and then creating this vision and kind of a roadmap for the new year, and you keep that in front of you, that's what you're going to be moving towards. That's who you're going to be becoming. So first step is getting that vision. Asking the Lord to show you, taking some time to process and reflect, ask yourself those questions if you don't know where to begin, and just start thinking about like, who do I really want to be in this next year of my life? And then even beyond that. And then once you have the vision, step 2 is setting your goals. And I've done a whole episode, or probably multiple at this point, about goal setting. There's one in particular called How to Make Goals Work for You. I'll make sure to link all these episodes for you in the show notes so that you can come back and listen to them if you want to like dive deeper into those specific topics. But you want your goals, again, to support your vision. So look at your vision. For me, by the end of 2025, I really hope that my faith is on a deeper level, that my mental health is doing really well, that my physical health is doing really well. So my goals need to be things that are going to move me in that direction. So the things like waking up earlier, prioritizing my time with Jesus rather than scrolling on my phone and just wasting time and falling into like just mindless time suck, and then making time to consistently read my Bible, to spend time in prayer, to spend time in community. Those are the kinds of things that are going to move me closer to who I want to be by the end of 2025. Okay. So, step one, create your vision. Step two, break that down into little goals that'll help you move in that direction. And then number three, create an action plan. So, this is the thing, it's one thing to have a goal. Right. So let's say you want to read the Bible in a year. Maybe that's a goal for you. Maybe it's not. That's one I'm doing this year. So we can just use that as an example. So that's a great goal. But if you don't have a plan, like, what are you going to do? Just like try a couple chapters a day and like hope that you make it on time? No, like you're going to have a plan, right? Like most people are going to look for a reading plan, something that can tell you each day what to read so that you know you're on the right track, right? Like you are each day moving a little bit closer towards completing that goal. So for you, what does that look like? If your goal is to save money this year, first of all, how much and by when? And then break that down into smaller steps. So if you want to save X amount of dollars, how much do you need to save on a monthly basis? How much do you need to save on a weekly basis? And so on. So come up with an action plan because having a goal is great, but if there's no feet behind it, again, you're probably not going to see the results that you want. And then you'll more likely be discouraged or give up or feel burnt out. So get yourself an action plan. If you need help with that, let me know. I do coaching sessions, and I was actually thinking if you reach out to me this month and you want to just have a brainstorm session, I do these purpose sessions where we can sit down together and just kind of flesh this out, where it's like, I can help you process and brainstorm what do you want your vision to be? And from there, what should your goals be this year? And how can you actually create an action plan? Let me know. I would be happy to do that for you. And I just think it's so much fun. So if that's something that you could use some support in, I'm your girl. Which actually that leads me into the fourth thing, which is inviting someone into your process. So again, whether it's a coach, whether it's a friend, a mentor, a pastor, someone who can be your support or accountability, someone who can pray with you, who can celebrate with you, that will help you so much because how easy is it to give up when it's just you doing it on your own? But when someone else knows what you're moving towards and you have someone in your corner who's cheering you on, like you're way more motivated to show up on the days that you don't want to, or it would be easier to give up. So think of who you can invite into your process. Maybe that's a friend, maybe that's a spouse. Again, maybe it's a mentor, a coach, someone like that, because we need people. Y'all know, say it with me. We can't do purpose without people. Okay. So think of who you're going to invite into your process this year. And if you don't know, maybe you're in a season like me. I've been praying for a mentor, and that is someone that I would love to have in my corner this year for some specific goals that I have on my mind for 2025. So I am praying for the Lord to show me the right people to invest in relationships with, who can help me grow, who can help me see my blind spots and pray for me and be that support that I need. And then also who can I be that support for? So those are some goals of mine this year as well. But I am praying that if you don't have someone in your life right now that you can think of, that God will show you who that person will be so that you can have that accountability and support system as well. Okay. And lastly, this is a step that a lot of people skip over. And I'm telling you right now, don't do it. Okay. The fifth and final step is make it fun. If you're not enjoying your journey to reaching your goals, again, what is the point? If it's not something that you're going to enjoy in your life long term, granted, maybe you want to get stronger, going to the gym and lifting, like maybe that's not always fun. It's painful, it's uncomfortable. You got to get out of your comfort zone to experience growth. But you also should have fun doing it. So there are so many ways that you can make this fun and just keeping it simple, honestly, like just figuring out what works for you. You can think of ways to reward yourself or celebrate the milestones along the way. Let's say If you have a savings goal for money this year, or a weight loss goal, like once you get to a certain stage in the process, celebrate somehow. Like go do something fun with a friend or buy yourself something nice or have a little solo coffee date or it doesn't have to be anything extreme or luxurious or out there, but it can just be something really sweet. Like go get your nails done. Do something that will help you celebrate and stay motivated to finish strong. Another way you can do that is to make a vision board. I love that. Again, it helps you to keep the vision in front of you because you're going to move towards what you are constantly focusing on and seeing in front of you. So make a vision board. I usually make myself on Canva just like a little phone background that has a couple of pictures of things that remind me of what my goals are for the year, or maybe the Bible verse. This year, it's really cute. Where's my phone? I don't know if you'll be able to see it. But I made myself this little background that just says 2025, and it has an affirmation that I wrote out for this year, which for me says, I am intentional with my time, joyful in my relationships, and peaceful in my purpose. I embrace growth in my faith, my health, and my finances. I am proud of the progress I've made, and I trust God has great plans for me in every season. I am committed, disciplined, and faithful to his calling. So that's on my background of my phone. That's my phone wallpaper that I can see every single day just to remind myself. So do something fun like that, super simple. You could like write it on a post-it note and put it on your mirror that you'll see in the morning in your bathroom every day or in your car. Do something to where you're keeping it in front of you in like a fun way. Okay, so some people, this is a fun one. I keep seeing people make these bingo cards for the year. So I decided to do that this year. I, again, just went to Canva, found a little template for it, and I printed it out and I filled in all the squares with little things that I thought would be really fun to cross off this year. So actually, tonight, we crossed off the first one. One of my little bingo card goals, which this is more of like a fun goal thing, more of like a just one time check it off. One of them for me was to hike this incline in town. It's these stairs that go up the side of a mountain. And I am telling you, it was great. It was beautiful. We got there and we could see the sunset, but I, I just realized it was very humbling. I just realized, wow, I have not adjusted fully to the altitude here. And it was kind of cold and I am out of shape for my cardio stamina and it was really rough. But we did it and it was really fun. So I'm going to cross that off my bingo board. And again, once my bingo board is all filled out, if I fill it all out, then I'll get myself a little treat. I'll do something fun to celebrate, but I don't know. We'll see. So on my bingo board, I'm looking at my wall, which is why if you're watching the video, I'm like looking over here into space. But some things I put on there are I want to go on a solo trip to visit some of my friends. I'm going to get a new tattoo. I want to, what else did I put on there? Some of them are like podcast growth goals, social media growth goals. One of them, I think the hardest one that I put on there is getting the Wordle in one try. I don't know if that's possible. I've seen it happen before, not for me, but I put that on there and I will let you guys know. Trust me, I will let you know if that ends up happening this year and I will cross that off my bingo board and I will feel good for the rest of my life. But that was just a fun thing I did. So I've got it on my wall up there next to like my other daily habit tracker that I made. And just some other things again, so that I can see them every day. And I got myself like these cute little highlighters that I've been using for a while to like make it fun and colorful. So do something like that for yourself. Just make it fun, make it enjoyable, make it like a little game for yourself, whatever you need to do to stay encouraged and motivated. And then again, inviting God into this process, not only just for the vision part, but in the day to day of living out these goals. So regularly take the time to pray, to fast, to spend time meditating on your verse for the year, praying over your goals, praying over the things that you feel God is calling you into this season. Like some of that could be, like I mentioned, I am praying for somebody to mentor, somebody that I can pour into. And I just want God to show me who those people are in the season, the community that He wants me to invest in, and how He wants me to spend my time, in this new leadership role at my job and things like that. So I want to regularly spend time in prayer, seeking God for wisdom and discernment, and just making sure that my heart is staying in tune with His, that I can hear His voice clearly, and that I'm still moving in the direction that I want to go. And here's the thing that I just want to emphasize: it is okay to change your plans or your path. Okay. It is not the end of the world if you have to pivot. In fact, I think that's one of the freest things about inviting God into your process for vision and goal setting and all these things, because it's not about you figuring it all out on your own. It's a partnership between you and the Holy Spirit to surrender your plans, your timeline for whatever is God's best for you. It means staying flexible. It means staying open. It means being available and willing to get out of your comfort zone at times, you know? It's about asking God to show you his heart and his will for your life, and then continuing to ask for wisdom and just steward where you're at well. That's one thing that I'm learning right now is that when you stop fighting the season that you're currently in and you're able to rest in exactly where God has you and stop comparing yourself to other girls and wishing you were somewhere else in life, you can finally live fully into the place that God has you right now. And the beauty of that is when you can finally release that fight to control and be in charge of your timeline, you can actually enjoy where you're at right now. I was listening to this podcast episode that Havilah Cunnington did recently, and she was talking about how we can start to worry or get anxious when we start thinking about the future. And she said something that I thought was really interesting and I've never thought about before, but she mentioned how scripture says that God's mercy is new every morning, which means it's like our daily bread, you know, in the Lord's Prayer. It's like the manna for the Israelites. He provides for us daily what we need. His mercy is new every morning. So she said, there's not grace for us to be dwelling in the past or being anxious for the future. So it's no wonder that we feel so unsettled when we start spending all of our emotional energy there, you know. God God has given us grace and mercy to be present right where we are today, and I just think that's really freeing. Hard to do at times, but I don't know, doesn't that make sense? It's like, of course, when I start thinking about the past or when I start worrying about the future, I feel unsettled and there's no peace in that because we weren't designed to live in the past or the future. We were meant to live right here in the present with our daily bread and his morning mercies for today. So I just love that. The idea that when we can really trust God fully and be present where he has us right now in this season, even if it's not where we want to be or we hoped we would be, or, you know, we can still have desires for the future. Living right now where we are today allows us to actually trust God that he will take care of the details, that he will get us exactly where we need to be when we need to be there. And we don't have to worry about missing it because when we are in partnership with the Lord, that's the whole faith piece, right? That's the whole point of this faith journey that we are on together with the Lord. Faith is being sure of the things that we can't see. You know, if we had it all figured out, if we had all the whole plan, like where is the faith in that? And what would be the point in inviting Jesus into the process? You know, like there's no relationship in that. And I think he just loves us so much that he wants better for us. And so those are some of my thoughts about partnering with the Lord as we set our vision and goals for 2025. And I hope this was encouraging. I mean, take what you want, leave what you don't, but reach out if you need support as far as getting that vision and setting your goals and then making a plan to start moving towards them. But at the end of the day, if you're seeking the Lord, if you are living in a position of, if you're living in a posture of surrender and just asking Him for wisdom and guidance and to help you steward your season well, exactly where you're at, take the pressure off of yourself, friend. Like, I don't think you'll miss it. So we can take a deep breath and we can enjoy the process. So, my prayer for 2025 is that you will take the pressure off of yourself to be the savior, the perfect one, the end all. I'm praying that you will be as gentle and kind with yourself as Jesus is, to be present in your current season. And I'm praying for all of us that this coming season is one of really freeing surrender, that burdens will be lifted, hope will be raised, and faith will be rooted really, really deep. Because I really believe that God has such good things in store this year. And I just feel expectant. I hope you feel that too. I just feel really hopeful and just at peace with being in the process. I just feel like I've come home to being in the process over the past year because I've spent so much of my life striving to be at a certain stage or status or, you know, number of followers, number of money in the bank and all of these things. And maybe it's because I turned 30. I don't know. But I feel like I've finally gotten to a point in my life where I'm like, oh, I can let it out. Like I can take a breath and have a sigh of relief because all I need to do is be fully where God has me right now today. And if I can do that, I'll never miss the next step. you know? So I'm praying that for you as well, friend. Here is to an amazing 2025. I'm cheersing with my chai. You'll have to come and let me know what you've been drinking lately, or tag me if you're listening. Tag me with your drink and let me know what's filling your cup lately. But I love you guys. I'm excited. This year is going to be really fun on the podcast. So be sure to follow along. Stay tuned. We got some good stuff coming. All right. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to tune in to another episode of the Byword Show. I love having you here, and your support truly means the world to me. If you enjoyed this episode, would you leave a quick review? It really helps our community grow and reach more women. If you want more, you can shop my books, Waking Up, Living Open, and Love Is on Amazon, and be sure to sign up for my email list so you always get the latest news. I can't wait to chat again soon, but in the meantime, be sure to come hang out with me on social media, and remember, I'm cheering you on.